What's going on, guys? John Alder here from Codemy.com, and in this video, we're going to create an event approval page for our app with Django and Python. All right, guys, like I said, in this video, we're going to create an event approval page. But before we get started, if you like this video and want to see more like it, be sure to smash the like button below, subscribe to the channel, give me a thumbs up for the YouTube algorithm, and check out Codemy.com, where I have dozens of courses with thousands of videos that teach you to code. Use coupon code YouTube50 to get 50% off memberships, all my courses, videos, and books for a one-time fee, which is insanely cheap. Okay, like I said, in this video, we're gonna work on this event approval page. And in the last video, we set up the event approval, but we had it set up to where you had to log into the Django admin area to approve or disapprove of a particular event. And so we wanna create our own page here that has, just a list of the events. And if we wanna click a couple of them, all right, we can come back here and it works. If we wanna unclick a couple of them, and all right, we come back and they're unclicked. So this is actually a little bit trickier than you might think because checkboxes are kind of weird. One weird thing about it is you can't send an unchecked checkbox, as far as I know, through an HTML form because it's unchecked. So it's like it doesn't exist. So there's nothing to pass through. So we're gonna have to get a little bit hacky with this, but not a big deal. And should be a lot of fun. So let's head over to our code. I'm using the Sublime Text Editor and the Git Bash terminal as always. And as always, you can find a link to the code in the pinned comment section below, as well as a link to the playlist with all the other Django videos in this series. So check that out if you haven't so far. Okay, so looking back at this very quickly, we need, first off, a page. And right up here, I've got this admin page. I'm calling it admin approval. So we need to build out just an actual page, and that's pretty easy. We've done this many times. It's always a three-step process with Django. You create a view, you create a URL, and then you create the template itself. So let's come up here to, let's see, events, templates, events, and then I'm gonna right-click and create new file. And let's go file, save as, and I'm just gonna save this as admin_approval.html. And we can just sort of open up any other page here. I'm just gonna copy all this code and paste it in here. And we can get rid of this. And here we're gonna call this the admin event approval portal. Call it whatever you want. So I'll just paste this in. And we can kind of get rid of all this stuff for now. So, okay, not much there. We'll go ahead and save this. Now, like always, we need a URL. So let's head down to our urls.py file. And I'm just gonna copy the last one here and paste it in. And we're gonna call this admin_approval. And let me copy this. And our view is gonna be, again, admin_approval. And let's give this a name of admin_approval. Okay, so that looks good. So go ahead and save this. Now let's head over to our views.py file. And let's just come down here. And let's say create admin event approval page. And I'm just going to define this, pass in our request. And for now, we can just sort of return render. We want to pass in the request. And we want to point this to events/admin_approval.html. And we don't need to pass anything in there yet. So, okay, that looks good. Now we need to add this to our nav bar. So let's head over to our nav bar and let's come down to our is authenticated section, because first off, the user should at least be logged in order to see this page. But more than that, they should be the admin user, the super user, right? So here we have got this if user is authenticated. We can add events and stuff. And I'm going to say if user dot is super user. And let's just go ahead and end if. And I'm just going to copy one of these guys right here, pop it in here. And here, this is going to, let's just say admin. And let's change this to, what did we call this thing? Admin approval. So pop that in right there. Okay, so that looks good. Let's go ahead and save this. Head back over here. And I'm not logged in yet, so there's no link up here. If we log in as Tim, who is not the admin, there is no link up there. If we log in as admin, and we see here, if we click on events, there it is. I don't think I really want it there. I want it up here with everything else. So let me see. Let's just grab this. Let's find a better spot for this. So let's see. Maybe after downloads, right before log out, something like that. Let's find our log out. Downloads. Okay, so yeah, let's just do it right here. So, all right, let's copy this, just redo this. So this should be admin, and this will be admin underscore approval. Okay, so save this. That should work now. Reload. Okay, so here we go. All right, that looks good. We can log out. We're no longer in there. Log in, admin. Okay, so we've got this admin page. Now we need to put stuff in there. And what we want is a list of all of our events. And you can see here, we've only got 2 listed because these are the only 2 that have been approved. So we want to be able to obviously toggle around to approve or disapprove different events. So first things first, we got to pass in all those events into this page. So let's head over to our views.py file, and inside of our admin approval thing, let's create an event underscore list. And this is going to be an event.objects.all. And if we want to, we could order underscore by, and let's say negative event underscore date. And this should be in quotation marks. This will give us a list of all of our events in a specific order. So right off the bat, we only want this page to show up definitely if we're the super user. And we've got the nav bar to only show the link if you're the super user, but you can still navigate to this page if you're not the super user. So we need to fix that. So let's go if request.user.is underscore super user, then do stuff. All right. Else, let's go messages.success. And let's pass in the request. And let's say, what? You aren't authorized to view this page, right? And then we might want to redirect to just the home page, right? Otherwise, we want to do, let's say this. And let's pass in that event underscore list as event underscore list. And I feel like I've done something wrong here. So this guy needs to be Python dictionary. Okay, that looks good. Let's go ahead and save this, refresh this guy. Okay, I'm gonna copy this link and let's log out. Now let's just try and go to that link. You aren't authorized to view this page, goes back to the home page. Okay, so that's working. So let's log back in. Okay, so now we're passing the event list in to our page here, right? And so now let's output this onto the screen and see what we got. So let's go for event in event list. Let's just pass in the event and see what we got here. And then we always want to end our for. There we go. Let's save this, head over here, see what we got here. So we've just got a list of our events. So this isn't all that great to look at. Let's create a quick table. I'm gonna go over to Get Bootstrap and go to the docs and click on content and go to tables. And so here's a basic table. And I'm just gonna copy a bunch of this stuff and paste it because this video is gonna get pretty long otherwise. So let's come up here and I'm just gonna paste this stuff in. Okay, so we want to create a table with a class of table, table striped, table hover, and table bordered. This will put a border around the table. It will allow us to hover the mouse over and change colors on each row, and it'll make each row striped, right? So here we've got a table head, and I want the event name, and I want to have whether it was approved or not, right? So here we've got our body. Now inside of here is where we're going to put this guy, and we need to create a table row and a TD, and let's grab this and put this up there. Okay, so here, this looks good. TD. Okay, so let's just save this and see what this looks like real quick, because, man, I flew through that. Okay, so we've got this approved, we've got nothing there. We've got the event name, we can hover. Okay, starting to come together. So now let's work on this approved guy. So let's create another TD, and I'm just gonna go ahead and close that TD. And let's do some logic here. So we want if event.approved, we need to put the checkbox, a little checkbox onto the screen. So I'm just gonna use the Bootstrap stuff for this. And you would normally copy and paste this from Get Bootstrap, but I already happen to know it, so I'm just gonna type it in real quick. So let's go class equals form dash check. And inside of here, we want an input class of form dash check dash input, because these are input boxes, right? And then a type of checkbox. And we want the checked value to equal checked for this one, because if it's checked, we'll put check. We've got this if statement. We're going to also do an else. And in the else, we'll put the unchecked boxes, right? So checked equals checked. The value is going to equal, and we're going to pass in the event.id. And I'll show you why in a minute. And then finally the name, let's just call these guys boxes for now. Okay. So there's that. So if it's approved, we want a checkbox that is checked. If it's not approved, then else. And I think I'm just going to copy this whole guy. There we go, paste it in, but checked here will be nothing. Okay, so as always, we have to end our if, right? Okay, so let's save this, head back over here, hit reload, see how badly I messed that up. Okay, looks good. So we can see here, we've got two of these guys that have been checked because two of them are approved. And we can confirm this by going to all events, and we can see Test 2 and Thanksgiving Day Parade. These two are the only ones approved. Test 2 and Thanksgiving Day Parade. All right, so far so good. So we're also going to need a button underneath this. So let's just go ahead and add that now, because that's super easy. So beneath our table, put a line break, and this is just going to be a button. We want to give it a class of BTN, and then like BTN-secondary. This is just a bootstrap color, which will make the button gray, sort of keeping in our color scheme here. So type is going to be a submit button. And let's say update approval for the label. And there we go. Let's save this, head back over here, hit reload. Okay, so we got a button. We click this, nothing happens yet. So, all right, now we need to create, this is just sort of listing data. This isn't actually a form that will submit or anything. And we need it to be a form that will submit. So let's head back over here. And in the past, we have, come over here and created our forms in our forms.py file. I'm not going to do that in this case. You probably could, but I don't know, I'm going to mix it up and do it a little bit differently this time. Instead, I'm just going to sort of manually create our form and just sort of process it manually on the back end, and you'll see why in just a bit here. So let's come up here, and any old where, we could just sort of at the top here, let's create a form. We want to give it an action of nothing. It's just going to point to itself. And we want to give it a method of post, because we're going to post the form. We also, as always, need a CSRF token. I spelled that CSRF, so cross-site request forgery token. That looks good. If we save this, come back here, hit reload, view the page source. Come down here, we see, all right, that looks good. And now we have a cross-site request forgery token, this whole big line of gobbledygook. So that's good. So hackers can't hijack our form. Okay, so we've got a form. Now it's going to submit back to our views.py file, but our views.py file doesn't do anything with it yet. So we've got here, if request is super user, we're just rendering this page. So inside of here, we want to do some stuff. This is where it gets interesting, right? So let's start out, say if request.method equals post. So if we're posting, we want to do something, else we just want to return this page. So I'll bop this over. There we go. So let's come down here and let's just copy this. So if this is all successful, we want to pop up a little message that says, I don't know, event list approval has been updated, right? And maybe we don't want to redirect home. Maybe we want to redirect where, like maybe the list events page, wherever you want to redirect to. So let's go ahead and save this and run it and refresh that just to see if that works. So we click here. List events. Oh, underscore. Whoops. Typo. So this should be list dash events. Okay. All right, so now we click this, boom, event list approval has been updated. It actually hasn't yet, but all right, we've got the mechanism in place. So now we need to actually do the voodoo to update our database, whether the things are checked or not. And this is where it gets kind of interesting because, as I said before, an empty checkbox doesn't get passed back because there's nothing there. If you check a box, that will get passed back as true or checked or whatever. But even then, it's a little wonky. So what I'm going to do, and this is just utterly just a hack here, but I don't know, might be fun. And there's probably other ways to do this, but I started thinking about this and I only spent about 2 minutes thinking about it. And this is what I came up with. So I don't know if this is the right way to do it or not, but this will work. So let's create an ID list, a list of IDs, because remember, each event has a primary key ID. And in fact, we've passed that. If we go back to our admin approval page and we go down to the checkbox thing, our value is that ID. So we can pass that value back to the form and then say, hey, this has been checked, do something with it. So to do that, we create a list called ID_list, and this is going to be the request.post.getList. And then what do we want to get the list of? Our boxes. Because remember, this guy, we named all of these guys boxes. So we're going to say, hey, get the values, which is the event ID of all the boxes, right? And then sort of add it to a list called ID list. And if we want to see what this does, we could just print this out, ID_list. So if we save this, come back over here, hit refresh. I'm going to click 3 of these guys. Click this, okay. Now we go back to our terminal. And if we break out of here, we see something's gone wrong. We're getting a blank list. So let's run this guy again and see what happened. So what did we do? Oh, named should be name. There we go. Okay, so let's save this, head back over here, refresh this guy. Okay, so let's check a couple of these. So we're doing 3 of them. So we click here, come back over to our terminal, break out of here, and now we see 9, 10, and 6. Those are the IDs of the 3 things that are checked. Now you'll notice right away that these are strings, and that's no good. We need these to be integers. So we're gonna have to convert them to integers in just a second. No big deal, but just sort of keep that in mind. So, okay, we're now passing the check boxes that are checked. Now we need to do something with it. And basically all we need to do is tell our database, our model, hey, update these events with these IDs to make them approved, right? So super easy. Head back over to our views.py file, and right underneath our list guy, we don't need to print this out again. So let's say update the database. So we've got a list, so we're gonna have to loop through that list. So I'm gonna say for X in ID_list, we just want to event.objects.filter. We want to filter the primary key of X, right? But remember, we have to convert this to an integer. So I'm just going to wrap this in the integer function there. So we want to filter by whatever ID is in the boxes. And then we want to .update. What do we want to update? We want to set approved to true. Right? Because remember our models.py file, we go down to our events, we've got this approved field. It's a Boolean field. It's either true or false. To make a thing approved, we set it to true. So right here, we just set this to true. And that's pretty much it. So let's go ahead and save this, head back over here, refresh this guy. So let's say we want this last one to print approved as well. We can click this. It says event list has been updated. If we go back, sure enough, it has. Now, here's where it gets trickier. We click this. We want to uncheck it. We click this to save it. It says it's been updated. We go back. It's been checked again. Why? Well, because when I uncheck this, remember, as I said earlier, unchecking an unchecked box doesn't get passed back because it's nothing. It's been unchecked, right? So I'm not really sure the best way to do this. For me, I'm just going to, before we save the new checked ones, I'm just going to uncheck everything. It's probably a horrible way to do it, but it'll get the job done. So up here, before we loop through our loop, let's say uncheck all events, right? So we've got our event list right here. We could just pull up our event list and we could say update, and we want to set everything. We want to set the approved of everything to false, right? So we're going to uncheck, we're going to take everything and make them all false. And then we're going to go through here and make true the ones we want true. I know it's a hacky way to do it, but that's what we're going to do because I only spent 2 minutes thinking about this. If you can think of a better way to do this, post in the comments below. We'll talk about it. I'm sure there's a better way to do it, but so let's go ahead and check a bunch of these. So, okay, update it, go back. They've been checked. Now let's uncheck these. Do it again, go back. All right, so let's test this out again. We've got the last two, Alien Parade and Charity Basketball Tournament. We'll update those. Now, here in our events list, we can see those two, Alien Parade and Charity Basketball Tournament, have been added to our approved list. So if we go back, come back, all events. Not sure why there's some extra space there. Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to play around with that and see what's going on there. But anyway, the functionality here is working. We can undo this. There we go. And that's all there is to it. Like I said, very hacky way to do this, but hey, it got the job done. And checkboxes are kind of weird. I don't know why. They just are. But, not much going on here. We just unapproved everything and then reapproved the ones we wanted. If you've got millions of records, obviously this is going to be a strain on your system. If you're looping through all of, if you're updating hundreds of them at a time, it's going to strain your system. There are ways you could speed that up. Maybe we'll talk about that later. But for now, this video is getting very long. And this got the job done, so we're going to leave it at that. So that's all for this video. If you liked it, be sure to smash the like button below, subscribe to the channel, give me a thumbs up for the YouTube algorithm, and check out Codemy.com where you can use coupon code YouTube50 to get 50% off membership. So it's access to all my courses, over 48 courses, thousands of videos, and the PDFs of all my best-selling coding books. Join over 150,000 students learning to code just like you. My name is John Elder from Codemy.com, and I'll see you in the next video.